Cheers. So we begin with a Jade Druid versus our Summoning Stone Mage, which contains Khadgar and Medivh. Our mulligan is fairly easy there. We keep card draw and Scientist, which is also card draw with a minion attached. Glazing over a bit at the start of this match because typically Jade Druid takes quite a couple of turns to get online, especially with the removal of a lot of the early ramp. It takes them a while to get some decent minions on board. And our deck doesn't get online until around turn 5 or 6, depending on if Meatwagon pulls the Summoning Stone a little bit earlier. As you can see, it's Scientist facing off 3 stats worth of Jades right now.
That's my second glass of wine. I already did 3 takes.
So the Meatwagon gets played here, and I'm just choosing to ignore that 1-1 because face damage. He's really unlikely to kill the Meatwagon here. It's going to be down to, typically it's down to me to kill off my own Meatwagon. Usually your opponent will only do it if they can kill whatever they think is going to be behind it, and typically what's behind it is a Doomsayer or something with high stats. So usually if your opponent, like this Jade Druid, doesn't have much in the way of board presence or maybe removal, he'll typically leave it. Conjurer's Call will give me 2 4-drops to Summoning Stone, and it's not the best against Jade Druid considering I suppose Poison Seeds is a thing. We want to kind of make him use Poison Seeds on big minions, I suppose. Yeah, it doesn't really make much sense because Poison Seeds can kill big minions and mid-sized minions, but we need big damage. That's what I'm trying to say. Our Druid makes a big mistake in this match. That's what makes this match very interesting towards the end, and you'll definitely see what the big mistake is when it happens. Because you'll be screaming at the screen like I was. Well, I wasn't screaming. I was just laughing mainly. Oh, so 2 Hecklebots there. 1 pulls Stone, 1 pulls Yogg. He prioritizes the kill on Yogg, probably because he thinks I'm running Conjurer's Call, which he's correct. So because of that, we get to keep our lovely Summoning Stone. So I trade the Scientist up for the Ice Barrier at that point. So now both of our Meatwagons are essentially useless because of the Hecklebots. But that's alright. We don't really mind that. We were a little bit disappointed that Yogg unfortunately met his end there. So that Yogg was potentially 2 10-drops and a bunch of spells if played from hand. So goodbye Yogg, you will be missed. And also goodbye Summoning Stone. I suppose Jade Druid in this current iteration, because the lack of ramp that they've taken out, like they don't really run Nourish. We might run 1 copy of Nourish, but Jade Druid now has removal that they wouldn't have normally had. So you'll see Jade Druid with double Starfire, which is double Naturalize, which you wouldn't have typically seen them have. So they've moved away from the ramp and they've gone into as much single target and AoE removal as possible to kind of compensate for that. Lovely UI there by our opponents. Couldn't quite kill my... is that a Hog Rider? I forget what that one is. But, boom. We take the Sylvanas. Oh yes. Take his 5/5, summon another 2. So they're pretty good statted minions. 5 attack across the board mainly, apart from the 4/6 frog. And I drew last. And that's where I was talking about Poison Seeds before. It doesn't matter about the size of the board. It only really matters if you have a good death rattle, if Poison Seeds will be useful or not. So yeah, because if you get a board that needs, all the legendary minions pop out before the Treants arrive. Speaking of Medivh, as I did before, that wasn't a good transition. Medivh drops, and I have a lot of like mid-sized spells, like 3 mana, with 1 Flame Strike sat in there. Now, typically from this point onwards, the game would almost certainly be lost for us, mainly because Yog's gone and one Summoning Stone has already been cleaned up, and due to the fact that Jade Druid has so much removal, it's pretty difficult for us to combat this.
He's got Fog off. That's 2 swipes.
Oh, luckily though, swipe doesn't go face, which means I save on free damage, which is lovely. So this is my potential 7-drop here. I forget what I do. Oh, I do the free drop 7-drop first, so I don't injure the 7-drop. That was nice of me, wasn't it? Now, providing that 7-drop stays around, we do have a nice little target there for Conjurer's Call. Yep, our Druid armor's up there. And this is where things take a turn for the worst for our Druid after this sort of debacle here. So, what you can see here is a beautiful thing. You see Sonya. You see a a lovely Archbishop. So what I do is I coin out the second one, kill off the Archbishop, plan to steal his deck off. Now, that obviously that is prolonging the game for us. So we're in a good position now because we can get hold of his Jade Idol and some of his removal. But what the Druid fails to do here is recognize that Sonya is on the board. Can you see the mistake he's made there? He doesn't he doesn't realize the mistake after the first kill. He realizes it after he swipes the Dragonhawk. And yeah, pretty tragic there. I think that was 4. I need to ping 4 times in order to make that rag live. So what I choose to do here is Emperor Forison and then just play for the rest of his deck whilst he still has 10 cards left, because I have a feeling he's going to UI soon. So I'm absolutely going to play that now. It makes sense anyway to play it now to get the most amount of cards. And then you look at that, 2 0 mana cards in hand, Summoning Stone and the young Dragonhawk. Now, if you've been paying attention, you'll know that I have not played or have not summoned Khadgar out the deck. Now, isn't that interesting? With the power of a 0 mana rag, essentially, we could turn that into 2 0 mana rags with Khadgar. So here Mana Bind is pretty enticing because the Druid's cards are typically pretty good. So Mana Bind gets played. I go for a nice little Jade card. I'm playing around swipe with that, trade into the 5/4. And Sprint Plague. Sorry, Sprint Plague. Typically, if you're playing against Jade Druid, you don't really want to leave a 1/1 up on the table because it doesn't really benefit you. If you can trade her into a minion for combat, it's typically good because they have swipe and what's it called? Sprint Plague. So, yeah, I'm going for a 6-drop here. Oh, sorry, it'd be 5-drop because it was. Is it a 6-drop actually? I missed that there. I missed that on the video. Was that a 5-drop or 6-drop? I know I'm Forest and Trig before. Oh, it was a 6-drop. Okay, good. Yeah, I went for the 6-drop there and decide to draw a card and then give my minion 1 attack. So I just trade slightly easier into the remaining minion. He's almost out of cards here, so he's going to have to shuffle in a Jade soon. So our Druid kind of shot himself in the foot a little bit with that Sonya misplay early on. He gave us extra resources with the Summoning Stone. He gave us potentially a 0 mana rag twice, times 2, I should say. So that's his last poison seeds. We now have double poison seeds, so we're okay for a little bit with regards to removing big Jade cards. So there's the draw, hit Khadgar, very nice, and this is just going to be a double attack buff for our board. So we want to now, we really need to consider killing him. I mean, we've been considered killing him for the entire match, but now we have to really consider killing him. That's the last plague.
No more plague left. That's it.
So buff, yeah, the buff makes sense. One time buffing and the armor up because he wants them to trade in pretty effectively, which they do obviously. So this is going to be plague for me and a ping. I'm not really interested in using the volcanic potion there because we've got a pretty solid board. Also, has anyone tried spreading plague in Khadgar? Do you get a full board of plagues or do you get one extra? I'm assuming you'll get a full board of plagues. You know, if you've got if there's 3 enemy minions, if there's 4 enemy minions on the board and you play Khadgar and then you play plague, would you get 6 total? So our opponent's last paths that he chooses to double on the draw, probably for some larger Jade minions. And armor up, which is fine. So yeah, choose the pink face and just hit the 2 Jades here with the idol followed up by... I'm just going to basically the board at this point because we have our rag active. Now, this is unfortunately the end of the game for our druid. I was planning on just playing 2 rags, but as you can see there, I hit Simulacrum. Almost for the perfect amount of mana as well. What do you think of that? You know, what do you think about that? Eh? That's 4. That's a 0 mana 4 rag. 0 mana 4 rag. Have you seen that before at Mage? I've not seen that before at Mage. All thanks to our druid opponent. I mean, that's a wrap. That's a wrap for the video. Thanks for watching. I didn't even finish the second glass. Cheers.